Toru was a clueless noob who enrolls in a famous battle academy to get stronger. However, everything changes when he's forced to partner with the strongest girl in school and move in with her, so starts cracking her cheeks to become overpowered. It all starts on Toru's first day at the academy, where he bumps into a girl named Imari who suggests they walk together. On the way, they bond over their interest in learning battle techniques at the academy and quickly become friends. After, they head in for the entrance ceremony. And Wednesday, Adam's wannabe names, Sakura, comes up to explain that they'll all have to participate in a qualification ceremony with the person sitting next to them as their partner. However, things go south when she reveals that they'll be forced to fight in a duel, and only the winner can enroll in the academy. As Imari freaks out, Toru asks if they can switch partners, but the goth girl insists this is part of the harsh reality of their school. She then tells the students to use the weapons from their souls, called Blaze, to secure their spots. With this, the students break up into pairs and start fighting viciously for their spot at the school. However, Toru remains frozen in place as he relives a traumatic memory from his past. Just then, Imari snaps him back to reality and explains that she has something important to accomplish, which means she can't back down from the fight. She then activates her blaze and draws a sword to challenge him. However, Toru refuses to activate his weapon and merely dodges her swing as she rips through the ground. Imari refuses to stop but keeps failing to hit Toru until he grabs her hand and tells her to give up. Just then, a rogue weapon from another student comes flying toward Imari, but Toru manages to deflect it with his blaze shield. Seeing this, Imari realizes that Toru is an irregular because his blaze is not a weapon, but she still refuses to back down and tries to strike one more time. However, Toru blocks it and overpowers her, causing her sword to fly across the room. He then powers up his fist and punches Imari across the room, ending their duel as he emerges the winner. After the ceremony is over, Imari thanks Toru for being kind to her, but warns him not to underestimate his future duels. She then wishes him luck at the school and vanishes like your last talking stage. Later in class, the students wait for their next period when a white-haired baddie named Julie walks in, and out of all the gooners in class, she chooses Toru to sit with and starts staring hard. Toru tries to ask why she's looking at him like a midnight snack, but Julie refuses to address it. Just then, an airhead named Rita comes flying through the window and introduces herself as their homeroom teacher. She then explains that every student will be grouped in pairs to live together with their partner, and just like the qualification ceremony, their partner will be the one sitting right next to them. Toru immediately freaks out, insisting he can't share a room with a girl, but Rito tells him there's no other option, and advises them not to get too loud at night. That night, Toru gets thrown out of the boys' dorm like a street rat, and has no choice but to head to his room with Julie. When he gets there, he tries to play it cool until he sees Julie dripping wet in nothing but a shirt, so he quickly backs away before he lands on the Epstein files. After calming down, Toru asks Julie why he kept staring at her all day, so she suddenly starts crawling toward him as she explains that she's interested in him. Toru's virgin heart starts beating fast as he takes a peek at her surfboard chest, but she then explains that she's interested in learning the technique he used to take down Imari. However, Toru says he can't teach her because the move causes too much strain on her and can hurt her. Suddenly, Julie starts feeling exhausted from the day and collapses in Toru's lap. Thankfully, Toru isn't as desperate as the gooners watching this, so he tucks her in bed like a gentleman and wishes her goodnight. The next morning, Toru wakes up and finds Julie in his bed, so he checks the lower bunk to be sure he isn't imagining things. When Julie wakes up, he tries to ask why she's on his bed, but she shuts him up with a view of her rice cakes. Later that day, during break, Toru overhears gossip about him and Julie getting cozy in their dorm at night. But he ignores this, and when they finally find a spot to eat, some classmates named Tomoe and Miyabi show up, asking to sit with them. After Toru tells them to sit, Tomoe starts lecturing them on why it's improper for them to be sharing a dorm. However, Julie says there's nothing better, since Toru held her in his arms the previous night. Hearing this, the ladies freak out and call Toru a man of culture. Later in class, while Rito teaches the students about their powers and how they work, she asks the students for suggestions while giving them fancy names. However, when she calls Toru the cohabiting irregular, he clarifies that he and Julie are just roommates, while everyone gives him the side eye. Toru then tells Julie how her comment at the cafeteria now makes him look like Johnny Sins to everyone in school.
Damn!
Meanwhile, Rito explains that they get stronger the more they train, and adds that they can raise the levels of their powers through a ritual of sublimation, which is held at the end of the term. However, students whose bodies and minds haven't been sufficiently trained won't level up, and will be expelled if they don't gain at least one level all year. Hearing this ruins the students' mood, but Rito adds that they'll be having battle practice next. During the battle practice, Tomoe apologizes to Toru for calling him out at the cafeteria, and when she adds that Julie explained the situation to her, Toru tells her to stop, since everyone around is starting to get ideas. Despite this, Tomoe apologizes more, and when she tries to get up, she slips and ends up munching on Toru's nuts. So she tries to break away from him, but only makes things worse, and just then Julie shows up and thinks they're practicing pinning techniques. A few moments later, while Julie and Tomoe spar, the other students marvel at how well they fight. Surprised, Toru asks Tora if Tomoe has learned martial arts before, and in response, Tora says that she's from an ancient martial arts school with a signature fighting style. Tora then says he's impressed to see Julie match up to Tomoe and asks Toru if he knows anything about her. However, Toru says that they haven't talked much since they've only lived together for 1 week. Afterwards, Toru says he'd like to team up with Tora when it's time for the official douse, since a boy-girl combo won't work for him.
Stop the cap!
But Toru says he won't be caught teaming with a weakling, and asks Toru to show him how much stronger her has gotten. While Julie and Tomoe commend each other after practice, Miyabi shows up with towels for them and commends them. However, when Julie asks if she'd like to be her next opponent, Miyabi quickly refuses, while Tomoe draws their attention to Toru and Tora practicing. Later at the dorm, Toru asks Julie if she's been practicing hand-to-hand combat before, and she reveals that she learned on YouTube, leaving Toru impressed. When she comments that he and Tora are quite skilled too, Tora says it's because they learned at the same dojo as kids. Some weeks later, Tora finds Toru waiting for Julie and comments that he's wearing his simp hat prettily. While Tora walks away, Tora reminds him about the duo registration happening the next day, and he says he's aware. Shortly after, while Toru and Julie walk to their dorm, he asks about who she chose to form an official duo with, and she says she's thinking of pairing with Tomoe. Julie then asks if he's pairing with Tora, and Toru confirms that he is. Just then, they realize they're under a cherry blossom, and after they comment on how beautiful it looks, Julie says it's their second time meeting under the cherry blossoms. Surprised that she noticed him on the day of the entrance ceremony, Toru suddenly lights up and suggests they go flower viewing the following year. Later that night, Toru wakes up and finds Julie in bed with him. So he tries to put some distance between them, but she grabs his shirt and calls out for her dad. Hearing this, Toru realizes she must have some daddy issues, so he lets it fly. The next day, at the executive office, Tora and Toru find out that the registration will continue till evening, but since the office is crowded, they decide to do it later. On their way, Toru spots Julie talking with Tomoe and assumes they've paired up. Later, Toru and Tora went back to the office and were given an oath to read while holding their blazes together. Just then, Tomoe and Miyabi show up to get registered, surprising Toru, who then asks about Julie. In response, Tomoe explains that she had already decided to team up with Miyabi when Julie asked. Hearing this, Toru realizes that Julie will be stranded, so he turns to apologize to Tora, who had seen it coming, and Tora tells him to go. Quickly, Toru hurries off to find Julie, and when he eventually finds her, he asks why she didn't tell him that Tomoe turned her down, and in response, Julie says that there's nothing he could have done about it. Just then, Toru says that she can rely on him and asks if she'd like to be his partner. Surprised, Julie asks about Tora and says that Tomoe might misunderstand them again, but Toru assures her that they'll have to explain things to them. When Julie keeps giving more reasons why she's a bad choice, Toru offers her a hand and asks her to form a duo with him. After she agrees, they put their blazes together and recite the oath. Later at the dorm, Julie starts dozing off at the table, so Toru tells her to go to sleep. However, a few moments later, he finds her on his bed, so he asks if she's sleepwalking. In response, Julie says that duos are always meant to be together since they swore an oath to spend their time together. Surprised, Toru says that sharing a bed is a bad idea, but Julie points out that back home, she shares a bed with her mom. Toru then points out that he's not her mom, and Julie says he's special since he makes her want to call him daddy.
What?
So Toru agrees to let her sleep on his bed only once. The next day in class, Rito states that they'll be having a blaze mock battle next and explains that in the battle, everyone except their partners is an enemy. So, later that day, Julie and Toru practice in the woods, and after a while, Toru ends up on the wrong end of Julie's sword and surrenders. While they rest, Toru complains that it's his fourth loss in a row, and Julie comments that he moves like your granny when tipsy. Toru then confesses that he's having a hard time handling his shield, so Julie showed him some moves and gave them names. Amused by this, Toru says it's a good idea and, in turn, shows her the finishing move he used on the day of the entrance ceremony, while explaining that it deals fatal damage to the target. Later that day, Toru strolls to the pitch and finds Miyabi exhausted from running. When she collapses, he hurries over to help her and carries her on his back. When she regains her consciousness, she struggles to get off his back, but Toru refuses because of the incredible feel of her airbags. When she finally calms down, she asks why he's carrying her, and Toru explains he's taking her to the infirmary because she collapsed. After she thanks him for this, Toru tells her to go easy on herself, but Miyabi says that she'll drag Tomoe down if she fails to level up. Hearing this, Toru asks if she's running to catch up with her ancestors, and Miyabi says she couldn't think of anything else. So Toru explains that running might actually help her since her basic abilities don't rely on talent, but advises her to take it easy. The day of the mock battle finally arrives, and the moment the bells go off, the students activate their weapons. As they run through the woods, their first opponents jump out of the bush and are flawlessly beaten, so they proceed through the battlegrounds and take out more opponents. Shortly after, they run into some clowns dressed like every man's fantasy. And while Toru wonders what to do next, Julie takes out the ladies without hesitation. Afterwards, Toru points out that they've got an hour left, and since most duos have been eliminated, he suggests they check places they haven't checked before. So they head into the school building, and as they run along a hallway, Toru suddenly blocks an attack from Tomoe, who then walks out of the dark and says she's been looking forward to fighting with them. When Toru responds, saying that they feel the same way, Tomo suddenly attacks with a weapon, but Toru blocks her attack with his shield, while Julie leaps to avoid the attack. At this point, Toru states that Tomoe won't be an easy opponent, and in response, Tomoe brags about her different fighting styles and weapons. Just then, she attacks them and calls on Miyabi, who then activates her weapon and attacks from the rear. Just then, Julie tells Toru to watch her back while she runs towards Tomoe. Meanwhile, Toru blocks Miyabi's attack with his shield, but she pushes him back until her power gives out. Afterwards, Tomoe admits that she's useless while Toru commends her and suggests they work hard to become stronger. Meanwhile, Julie blocks the attacks from Tomoe's chain blade, and immediately she finds her way through. She points her sword at Tomoe, telling her to surrender. When Tomoe marvels at how Julie anticipated her attack, Julie says she can't let her guard down around someone as skillful as her. After Tomoe admits defeat, Toru and Julie realize they've only got time for one more battle, so they decide to find Toru and his duo. Suddenly, they hear a loud scream and rush over to check it out. There, they find Toru and his duo beaten and ask if they're okay. Rito then shows up, asking what happened, and Toru explains that they only just got there. While they try to tend to Toru, he suddenly warns them to look behind them, and on turning, Rito attacks them with her blade. Fortunately, they evaded the attack, so she compliments them for being fast enough, surprising Toru, who then asks why she's attacking them. Julie then asks Toru if he's okay, but then, he realizes he's been wounded, surprising him to find out that a blaze weapon could wound him. Just then, Rito chuckles and explains that, unlike what they've been made to believe, the blaze weapons could hurt humans by altering the way the user thinks. Suddenly, Rito attacks again, but this time, Julie stops her and asks if she meant that the blaze could harm people when used with the intent to unalive people. Rito then confirms this and warns them not to tell anyone. After this, she picks up Toru's blaze and destroys it, making Toru scream, while she explains that destroying a blaze damages the user's spirit for an entire day. Annoyed, Toru asks why she's attacking them, and Rito says it's her job to eliminate promising new recruits. Instantly, she jumps and attacks them from above, but Toru guards himself with his shield while Julie gets attacked and slammed into a pillar. Toru then attacks her from behind, but Rito dodges every one of his attacks and counters with a kick to his gut. Just when she tries to take his head herself, Julie swings in to save him, but ends up on the floor. So Rito tries to end her first, but Toru takes the hit with his shield while asking Julie if she's okay. Rito then tells Toru to worry about himself first and states that weaklings deserve to die. This suddenly triggers some bitter memories in Toru, so he gets furious and attacks her with his secret move. However, Rito escapes this and asks who's ready to die first. Julie then stands to defend Toru, who then rushes to attack, saying he'll protect Julie. So Rito launches a barrage of attacks at Toru, and when she overpowers him, Toru then mentions an attack Julie named while they practiced, and Julie caught the hint, so she slides in to block Rito's attack, while Toru charges up and destroys her weapon. The next morning, Toru thanks Julie for catching his hint during the battle while Julie commends him for using his brain. Toru states that Tsukimi was arrested and wonders what she meant by doing her job. After this, Toru flinches because of his wounds, and Julie rushes over to help him, but she ends up on top. Coincidentally, Tomoe and Miyabi walk in with provisions for them and freak out on seeing them. Later at night, Toru awakens from a nightmare and finds Julie watching him, so he tells her he just needs some fresh air. On stepping out, Julie follows him and asks who Adoha is, since he was muttering the name in his sleep. He then tells her to forget it, but Julie adds that he threatened to end someone in his sleep and asks if his goal is revenge. She then shows him a scar on her back and reveals that she's just an Avenger like him. Somewhere else, a lady named Lilith swims in a stream, and on stepping out, she tells her maid, Sarah, that she'll be meeting someone who's just as special as she is the next morning. Toru wakes up and wonders if everything that transpired over the night was a dream. He then turns around and feels something soft, so he opens his eyes and realizes his hand was on Julie's softies. Quickly, he takes his hand off to avoid a lawsuit, but Julie grabs it and puts it back on her chesticles. Shocked by this, Toru freaks out and falls off the top bunk. Afterwards, Toru apologizes and says he wasn't aware that she was on his bed. So Julie asks if her mini saucers were so small that he couldn't tell what they were.
What?
But Toru freaks out and says he's inexperienced at sampling lady parts. While he blames himself for the mistake, Julie says that she felt lonely after being reminded of her past and apologizes to Toru. The next day at school, on entering the class, Toru is surprised to see Tora and Tatsu in class, so he asks why they're there. In response, Tora says that the wounds are not enough to keep them in bed. Hearing this, Tomoe comments that the injuries that Rito dealt to them were serious and advises Tora not to push his luck. Facing Toru, Tora asks why he told Tomoe how he got beaten. In response, Toru explains that Tomoe showed up on the scene and gave them first aid. On hearing this, Tora and Tatsu thank the ladies for helping them out, while Toru teases Tora. Just then, Tomoe wonders why Rito went all crazy on them during the battle, and Toru reveals that she said she was doing her job. When he adds that they won't be seeing her anytime soon, Rito casually strolls into the class, asking if the students got enough rest and suggesting they get on with their lessons. Afterwards, they follow her into the hallway, looking like an enraged mob. So Rito tells them to get ready for their next class and not try anything funny. Ignoring this, Toru angrily asks why she's in the school, and in response, Rito announces the arrival of Sakuya, the board chairman, who then summons the students to her office and reveals that she reinstated Rito. Toru then reminds her that Rito almost unalived them, but Sakuya states that they survived, and moreover, Rito is the best at training her students. Unconvinced, Tomoe chips in that Sakuya is only considering the ends while ignoring the means, and Sakuya admits that she only cares about results. While the students stare at her in disbelief, Sakuya states that they'll be participating in a ritual of sublimation that'll advance them to the next level. Tora then asks if she's trying to bribe them, but Sakuya says it's a reward for their impressive talent. Later in class, Toru thinks about Sakuya's verdict while Rito teaches the students about the increase in their abilities when they level up. Suddenly, Lilith walks in like she owns the place and asks Toru if he's the irregular. On opening his eyes, he finds her face a few inches away from his and confirms he's the one. Lilith tells him to follow her, and as she walks out, Toru points out that he's in the middle of a class. Lilith then asks Rito if she has any objection, but Rito tells Toru to go ahead. Pissed off, Toru demands that she address whatever business they've got in the class, but Lilith says it's none of his business. When Toru finally agrees to go with her, Lilith introduces herself and announces that she transferred from England. Afterwards, they sit at a private shed, where Lilith announces that they'll be partners from that moment on. Shocked, Toru says he already has a duo partner, but Lilith says it doesn't matter because she's special. After this, she reveals that she heard rumors about an irregular and went through many troubles to switch schools, surprising Toru, who then asks if she did that just to form a duo with him. When Lilith confirms this, Toru points out that the school regulations state that duos can't be disbanded. However, Lilith says that the rules don't apply to her because she's an exception and demands a response from Toru, so he turns her down and takes his leave. Later that day, Rito punishes Toru for skipping her class, and when he freaks out, she says she'll punish him to her heart's content because she can't touch Lilith. Afterwards, Toru soaks in the bathtub at his dorm, wishing an asteroid would drop on Rito wherever she is. Just then, Julie shows up to give him his towel, but Toru tells her to leave it at the door. Shortly after, while they drink tea together, Julie asks Toru if they can sleep together again, but the moment he remembers what happened the last time, he changes the topic and asks her to hang out with him. When she agrees to go out with him, Toru asks where she wants to go, and Julie says she'd like to go shopping for new clothes. Just when he gets excited about dodging the question, Julie calls him from his bunk and tells him to join her in bed. The next day, they ride a train headed to the city for their date, and Toru flashes back to the moment he asked Miyabi to go with them, but she turns him down. Shortly after, they arrive at the mall, drawing everyone's attention, but unknown to them, they're being spied on by Miyabi and Tomoe. Afterwards, they find a store, and Julie gets some outfits to try out while Toru plays the judge. After trying on a couple of outfits, Julie pays while Toru uselessly hangs around like a broke idiot. In response, Julie says that she bought them only because he likes them. Shortly after, they explore other parts of the mall, and Toru gets Julie ice cream and rum raisin for himself. For some reason, Julie abandons her cup and says she'd like to taste from Toru's cup, so he complains about feeding her in public. However, Julie says that she does it with her parents all the time, so Toru damns the consequences and feeds her some from his cup while she does the same. Overwhelmed by the embarrassment, Toru asks if she's satisfied and notices her getting red, so he asks if she's getting a fever. But from her movement, he realizes she's drunk. While he tries to get her back to her senses, Miyabi and Tomoe spy on them, thinking something serious is going on between them. Suddenly, a group of clowns surrounds Tomoe and Miyabi. However, the ladies try to leave, so the boys grab them and prevent them from leaving. Just when things start going south, Toru rushes over to the scene and tells the guys to cut it out. Julie then joins them, surprising the other ladies, while Toru says that the girls are with him. While they go back and forth on the issue, Lilith appears out of nowhere with her rifle blaze and shoots down the thugs. This suddenly draws people's attention, so Lilith makes her weapon vanish while Toru realizes why she's called an exceptional. Later, the ladies check out the Victoria's Secret section of the mall and try on some lacy wear. Just when they step out of the changing room, they find Toru there and scream at him for being a creep. Later at school, when Toru tells his friends about Lilith's rifle blaze, but they don't believe him, since no one has ever seen or heard of one. Toru then says that it's probably why she's called the exception and points out that Lilith is absent from class. Meanwhile, somewhere else, Lilith polishes a rifle and fantasizes about the idea of hooking up with Toru. Afterwards, during swimming classes, Tomoe dazes everyone with her incredible swimming skills, and while the others think of working hard to be like her, Toru figures it's the effect of leveling up after the ritual of sublimation. When he thinks about how indifferent he felt after the ritual, Toru spots Tora throw a ball with an incredible force that sweeps everyone away. However, Tatsu blocks the ball with his fist, resulting in a massive wave in the pool. Just when Toru figures that he has become faster and more powerful, he also spots Miyabi swimming faster than everyone else in a pool, so he commends her speed and helps her out of the pool. While she thanks him for cheering her up, Tomoe shows up and tells Miyabi to puff up her chest with pride since they made it to the next level. Rito then joins the conversation, making comments about the ladies' melons and asking Toru if he agrees. Embarrassed, the ladies cover their melons while Toru says it has nothing to do with him. Just then, Tomoe backs off and calls Toru a cultured creep. Meanwhile, Julie jumps into the pool while everyone watches, expecting fireworks, but to their surprise, she doesn't resurface. While she shows off her drowning skills, Toru jumps in to save her, and after he takes her out, she reveals that she wasn't taught how to swim in her former school. Amused to see Julie suck at something for the first time, Tomoe asks her to give it a break while Toru puts a towel on her to keep her from catching a cold. After this, Toru and Tora head off to try out their leveled-up abilities, while Miyabi wishes she were the one who almost drowned. Later that day, while Toru heads to class with Julie, she asks him to teach her how to swim. He then agrees and suddenly tells her to go on without him. So he heads over to the private shed to meet Lilith, who is enjoying a cup of tea. Just then, Toru asks why she's been skipping classes, and Lilith says that the academy is just a place to pass the time for her. Concerned, Toru says she won't make any friends that way, surprising Lilith, who then comments that he's sweet for saving the ladies at the mall the previous day. In response, Toru says it's normal for him to help his friends, and says he has a question to ask her. Lilith then stops him and says that she'll only respond if he takes her on a date. In class, Rito notices Toru's absence and laughs, making his friends worry about him. Meanwhile, Toru hangs out with Lilith against his will at an amusement park, and while she throws a tantrum, everyone stares at her like she just broke out of rehab. When Toru tells her to calm down, she freaks out more and grabs him along to go take pictures. But since her airbags were touching Toru's arm, he tries to tell her, but she keeps fragging him along. Afterwards, they took a ride through a volcano and took pictures together in a photo booth. Later that day, they sit together in a park, and Lilith comments that Toru has poor stamina, but he says he's more drained mentally than physically. Ignoring this, Lilith suggests that they check out a monster shooting building. So they spend the next couple of hours hunting fake monsters in a haunted cave-themed building. While Toru shoots like he has a blindfold on, Lilith hits her targets in one shot. Surprised, Toru comments that she's a good shot. So Lilith reveals that hunting has been her favorite hobby since childhood, and in addition, she reveals that she spent time assembling guns, which are her favorite weapons. When she adds that the guns feel like they're a part of her soul, just like his blaze, Toru flashes back to his bad memories. Afterwards, Lilith was declared the player with the highest score in the game and was rewarded with a stuffed animal. On their way back, the sky gets lit with fireworks, and Lilith tells Toru to ask his question. So, Toru asks why she used her blaze in a public space, and Lilith responds, saying it's only natural to show it to her duo partner. When Lilith adds that knowing that there's an odd person like her made her excited, and after she lists every reason why they should pair up as a duo, she offers him a hand and asks him to be her duo. Later, Toru arrives at the dorm after curfew, and Julie spots Toru returning to the dorm, but when he gets to the door, he realizes it's locked. So, Julie calls him from the balcony, and he jumps up to meet her and thanks her for helping him. Suddenly, he pins her to the wall while the watchman inspects the area, and when he's gone, Toru apologizes for being late. He then confesses that he was out with Lilith and reveals that she asked him to form a duo with her. When Julie gets worried about this, Toru reveals that he turned down their offer and told her about the promise he made to Julie. At the amusement park, Lilith slapped him for rejecting her and stated that she'll never forgive him, before angrily walking away. Toru then apologizes for not telling her about Lilith's requests earlier, but Julie simply touches his face and thanks him for choosing her. The next day, Toru serves his punishment running around the pitch and spends the rest of the day sleeping in class. Just then, Rito announces that they'll be having an interclass battle with the second years. Later, while the students watch the second-year students practice, Rito states that several of them are as strong as she is and advises that the first years come up with a good plan to avoid getting cut into bits. After she leaves, Toru and his friends worry about facing their overpowered opponents. Just then, Lilith walks into the pitch to ask the seniors if they could start the battle immediately and offers to take them all on as a representative for the first years. Hearing this, they think she's gone nuts, so Lilith shoots one of them down to prove her point. A few moments later, Lilith shoots down the last of the seniors, while her classmates watch, surprised, and Sakuya comments that it's wrong for Lilith to ruin an event she put together just because she's an exception. In response, Lilith says she'll host a dance party to deepen her relationship with her classmates, where the dress code will be their blaze, and they'll make music by clashing swords. On the day of the battle, Lilith strolls along a corridor in the venue when a girl shoots an arrow at her, thinking she ate. However, when the smoke clears, she realizes that Lilith caught the arrow, so Lilith takes her out in one shot. Suddenly, the other students run out of hiding to attack her all at once, but Lilith takes them all out. Shortly after, she encounters Toru along the corridor, and he quickly apologizes for turning down her request to form a duo with him. But Lilith tells him not to think she'll go easy on him because he apologized. In response, Toru says he wants her to fight with all her strength and might become friends after the battle. Surprised, Lilith points out that he's a dim-wit, and suddenly they attack each other. While Lilith fires at him, Toru evades her shots and tells her to stop damaging the building, but she says she'll repair it afterwards. So, Lilith aims and fires at him again, but he blocks the shot with his shield, amusing her. On getting closer, Toru engages her in a close-range combat, and suddenly, Tomoe attacks with her chain blade while Tatsu attacks with a lance. When Julie charges at Lilith too early and tries to chop her to pieces, Lilith realizes they must be trying to take her down at once. So she hops on the ground floor and schools them on why their strategy sucks balls. Just when Lilith goes out of sight, her classmates hop on the ground floor too. However, Miyabi falls on her rice cakes, so Toru offers to help her up. Feeling embarrassed, Miyabi asks if he saw what's beneath her skirt, but Toru assures her that he didn't. Afterwards, they gather to discuss their next move, and Tomoe explains that they can either go after Lilith or lay an ambush for her. Just then, they all agree to go after her, so they split into two groups in an attempt to corner Lilith. However, when Toru's team looks around and can't find her, Toru figures she might be somewhere waiting to snipe them one after another. Suddenly, Tatsu gets shot, and Lilith steps out of hiding, saying that camouflage is her specialty while hunting. Annoyed, Toru attacks her while she blocks his attacks, so she tells him to wait his turn since he's the main course. Just then, Julie goes after her, and despite Toru's warning for her to wait for the others to arrive, she says she'll be fine. Unfortunately, Lilith accurately predicts her movements and blows her back to the ground floor. Before she lands, Lilith aims to shoot her down, but Tomoe quickly sweeps in to save her from the shot, and they quickly take cover. There, Toru notices that Tomoe was shot, so Julie apologizes and takes the blame. Tomoe then asks Julie if something happened, since she's been twitching all day, but Julie says nothing is wrong with her. After this, Toru gets an idea, so shortly after, he stands in an open spot in the building and acts out a little drama where he and Julie play Romeo and Juliet. While he gives her a head rub and states that she'll always be his duo, Lilith steps out and asks if they've forgotten they're in the middle of a battle. In response, Toru says that she caught him by surprise, and she reveals that it's one of the perks of being a hunter. When she joins them on the ground floor and suggests they skip the boring stuff, Toru steps out of hiding and says she's annoying. So they attack at once, but Lilith defends herself and shoots at Julie, who then defends herself using her blaze. Not wanting to be left out, Toru attacks from behind, but trips and crashes before Lilith blows his brains out. However, when Toru attacks, Lilith shoots him, surprising his comrades. Despite this, Toru tells them they can still win the fight since he's got Lilith right where he wants her. So he strikes the floor with his blaze, and Lilith leaps off the ground before the resulting quake affects her. Out of nowhere, Miyabi charges at Lilith with her spear, but she dodges the attack, surprising her opponents as she shoots down Toru and Julie. While Toru watches in shock, Lilith says that she doesn't have to reload manually as they thought. However, Toru then says he sees through her lies, while Julie suddenly gets up and slashes Lilith with her sword. Surprised, Lilith wonders how, since she was certain she shot Julie in the chest. Just then, she realizes that her shot merely grazed Julie while Toru announces that the battle is over. However, when Lilith takes up her rifle and refuses to admit defeat, Toru prepares for another bout, but is suddenly shot. While he bleeds, he states that the shot was from a real gun, and just then, some armored men walk in. Their leader, named Kelvin, then takes off his mask and tells Lilith that they have an invitation for her from the equipment smith. Hearing this, Lilith says she won't honor such a rude invitation, but Kelvin shoots her and asks the other armored men to rough her up if she refuses to follow them. Suddenly, the students attack them with their blazes, but it isn't effective against their armor. Just then, Kevin takes Miyabi hostage, so Lilith accepts their invitation, and as they escort her to the roof, she apologizes to Toru for not completing their battle. Afterwards, while the students wonder who the men are, Toru says he doesn't care and will rescue Lilith. Shortly after, Toru stops the men and demands that they return Lilith to them, but Lilith tells him he can't save her in his weakened state. Just then, Kevin opens fire on Toru, who then blocks the shots and channels every ounce of energy in him into a blow, which he lands on the floor. Suddenly, the men get blown away by the shockwave of his punch, while Toru grabs Lilith, and the other students attack the other men. Meanwhile, Kevin aims his gun at Toru and Lilith, so Lilith activates her blaze rifle, and together, they shoot him down. Afterwards, while Lilith and Toru decide to finish their battle despite being banged up, Kevin rises out of the rubble and reports to his superior about the failed mission. However, his superior says it's fine, since their aim is to get Sakuya, the Blaze Witch. The next day, while Toru's friends hang out with him at the clinic, Lilith shows up, surprising him, and when Toru asks if she's lost, she says she's just checking on her friend and thanks him for saving her. After this, she apologizes to the other students for undermining them and asks Toru if he'd like to reconsider her duo request. However, Toru says he's got a partner already, and Julie leans on him to prove this. Ignoring this, Lilith plants a kiss on Toru, making everyone freak out. Sometime later, Miyabi takes a shower, thinking of how she got taken hostage, and thinks she's a burden to her friends. Just then, Tomoe shows up in the shower, tells Miyabi to quit doubting herself and bring back the Miyabi everyone loves, and on hearing this, Miyabi thinks of Toru. Sometime later, the students sail on a ship for a training camp, and on the ship, while Toru tends to his seasick partner, Miyabi shows up and asks how Julie is feeling. In response, Toru says she's better off getting fresh air outside and asks Miyabi why she's out. Suddenly, Miyabi glows red and tries to sit with Toru. However, the ship swayed and she fell with her melons on Toru. Just then, Toru and Tatsu show up to tell Toru that Rito's asking for them. Shortly after, when the students assemble, Rito announces that the island is on the horizon and they'll have to swim to it to commence the training camp. Surprised, Toru asks Rito if she banged her head before making the announcement, but to make matters worse, Rito says they'll have to swim in their uniforms. Meanwhile, Toru spots Sakuya staring down at them from the bridge and says they're all lab rats to her. So, Rito shows them where the training center is located on a map and tells them to get moving. Suddenly, they all get dumped in the ocean, and a few moments later, Toru swims with Julie on his back and assures her that they'll catch up with the others soon. Just then, Lilith pulls up in a helicopter, announcing that she's late because she was picking a swimsuit. Just then, he takes off her uniform and jumps off the helicopter, announcing to Toru that his future wife has arrived. Annoyed by this, Julie tells Lilith to leave Toru because he's her duo partner, surprising Lilith, who then asks if she can't swim. When she comments about Julie dragging Toru down, Toru suggests they get to the island while Lilith challenges him to a swimming contest. When they arrive at the beach, Toru tries to catch his breath while Julie complains about her wet clothes. Just when she tries to take off her Victoria's Secret on the beach, Toru stops her, so she leaves to find somewhere else where she can dry them. After this, Lilith bends over Toru to give him some shade from the sun and asks for a kiss in return. However, Toru freaks out and hurries after Julie, but on finding her, he realizes she has lost her cheek hammock to the ocean. Somewhere else on the island, Tomoe and Miyabi hop on rocks across a stream, and Miyabi complains about holding Tomoe back. Just when Tomoe tries to debunk this, Miyabi trips, and Tomoe tries to save her, but they both end up in the stream. Afterwards, when Miyabi comments that everyone must have gone ahead, Tomoe says it doesn't matter since they'll move at their own pace. So Miyabi apologizes, but Tomoe shuts her up and says that Miyabi doubts her when she doubts herself since they're partners. Meanwhile, Toru and the ladies also try to find their way to the training center, and he takes off his shirt and wraps it around Lilith's foot to make the trek easier. Impressed, Lilith thanks him and talks about making him her duo partner. However, Julie suggests they keep moving, but a stick hooks her skirt, exposing everything underneath, while Toru tries to shake off the images from his head. Suddenly, a couple of ninja knives are thrown at Toru, but luckily, he dodges them, making Lilith wonder if ninjas live on the island. Seeing movements in the woods, Toru thinks it's the armored guys again, but to his surprise, the attackers suddenly activate blazes. At the same time, Miyabi and Tomoe fall into some traps, and immediately, some ninjas jump out of hiding and attack them. However, Tomoe stands her ground and defends herself, while Miyabi watches from her trap and wonders why she can't move. Suddenly, she thinks of Toru's encouragement and activates her blaze. She then breaks out of her trap and attacks the ninjas surrounding Tomoe. Somewhere else, while Toru and his companions defend themselves against the attackers, Lilith realizes that the ninjas are trying to trap them using the trees. Just then, one of the ninjas throws a knife at her from behind, but Julie sweeps in just in time to save her. While they watch each other's backs, Julie asks Lilith what she's planning and reveals that she needs more space to pull it off. So Julie summons her other sword and cuts down the surrounding trees, exposing the hiding ninjas. Meanwhile, Toru fights for his life alone and wonders who the ninjas are, so he takes the hit from one of the forest traps and takes down one of the ninjas. Just when he tries to finish her off, her mask opens and he realizes it's Amari. At the same time, the other ninjas have surrendered to Julie and Lilith, so Amari tells Toru to take his hands off her bloopers. Later that day, at a welcome party thrown for the main students, Amari welcomes them and explains that the mock battle is how they do Seaside classes. After she raises a toast to welcome the main students, the students bond over drinks and food. Afterwards, Toru expresses his surprise about the existence of a branch school, and Amari explains that the applicants who failed the qualification ceremony were offered admission into the branch school. When she asks Toru how it's been at the academy, Julie shows up and comments that they've eaten all the meat. So Toru hands her a sausage from his plate, and she shows him how skilled she can be with her mouth. Just then, Lilith shows up with 2 full plates, and Toru thinks she's offering him some, but she tells him to feed her instead. So Julie starts feeding her, and on opening her eyes, she realizes it's not Toru, so she tells Julie to let Toru do it. Meanwhile, Toru spots Sakia and approaches her to apologize for misjudging her as a heartless person. He then commends her for not abandoning Imari and the other students, but Sakia states that he's mistaken, since she only gathered the students to be used as personnel for the Dawn Agency. As she walks off, Sakia states that her only aim is to achieve the absolute duo. Somewhere else, some ladies commend Miyabi for swinging into action in the mountains, and Tomoe brags about her duo partner. Embarrassed, Miyabi hurries off to get some food and runs into Toru, who then commends her for saving Tomoe. Suddenly, Tomoe blushes and thinks of how Toru always encourages her, and at that moment, she realizes she's in love with him. Somewhere else, the equipment smith, the founder of Libers, shows Kevin a suit he developed and suggests they keep it from their superiors until they can show them how it works. So, Kevin asks about the code name of his mission, and the equipment smith names it Selection. Back at the branch academy, Toru finishes setting up a tent, and Julie gets excited since they'll be sleeping together throughout the Seaside lessons. The next morning, Toru feels a warm and soft sensation on his face and feels his other hand trapped between Julie's thighs. When he opens his eyes and realizes that he's surrounded by plots, he screams and gets away from the ladies. Just then, Tomoe walks into the tent to announce that training is about to start, so she freaks out and calls Toru a creep. Later during training, Tomoe apologizes to Toru for misunderstanding him earlier and adds that Julie and Lilith explained everything to her. Feeling embarrassed, Toru tells her to get up, but Tomoe refuses and grovels in the sand while everyone wonders what's going on. Just when Julie tries to explain that she and Lilith slept in Toru's tent, Toru shuts her up. Miyabi then states that Rito might get pissed if they don't join a group soon, and the students suddenly start discussing Rito. So Toru thanks Miyabi for bailing him out, and she freezes on the spot. In the following days, the students spend their time training, and when they're done, Rito announces that the next day will be their last day on the island. So she tells them to do as they please, but warns that she'll knock them back into shape if they go crazy. Quickly, Lilith hurries over to tell Toru that she's about to make her skin nice and sparkly just for him. Just then, Julie shows up, saying they're going to have a bath, and she pushes Lilith along. After everyone leaves, Miyabi stays back, so Toru commends her for working hard during the training, but she says it's because of him. Curious, Toru asks what she means, but Miyabi says it's nothing and asks if he has plans for the next day. When Toru says he's got none, Miyabi invites him to hang out with her and the other ladies. In response, Toru asks where they'll be hanging out since there are no hot spots around, and she says they'll be on the beach. So Toru realizes there's no better spot for a hangout while Miyabi laughs at him. The next day, Toru feels awkward as the only guy on the beach, since Toru was sleeping and Tatsu was busy flexing his muscles in a hole somewhere. Just then, Julie shows up in her swimsuit and asks Toru how she looks in it. In response, Toru says she looks cute, and before long, the other ladies show up in their swimsuits, which makes Toru's eyes twitch. When they ask for his thoughts on their looks, Toru examines their assets and finds sweet words to describe them. However, Rito and Miyabi join them, but the ladies grab Miyabi and forcefully remove the hoodie she's wearing over her swimsuit. The moment Toru spots Miyabi's jiggling orbs, he blows a fuse upstairs and comments that he likes her swimsuit. Meanwhile, Rito throws a tantrum while saying that Toru has had enough of the exhibition. So the ladies rush towards the ocean except Rito, who then kicks Toru and asks why he ignored her while complimenting the ladies. After this, she asks him what he thinks about her swimsuit, but Toru says it's nothing special, so Rito tries to unalive him. Meanwhile, the other ladies watch them from the water, and when Amari comments that Toru and Rito seem to be getting along well, Miyabi says it must be nice, making Amari suspect her. Afterwards, the ladies have fun playing on the while using Toru as they please. Just when he sits on the beach and watches the ladies play in the water, Miyabi approaches him and asks if he'd like to swim with her. Coincidentally, Toru spots Julie getting swept away in the water, so he rushes in to help her, but realizes she was practicing her swimming skills. When she gets out of the water, Toru follows her and freaks out on realizing that her swimsuit is no longer where it belongs. So he quickly turns around and says he didn't see anything while Julie clings to his back and suggests they look around for her bikini top while Toru protests. Shortly after, they find the bikini in the water, and as they go to get it, Lilith pops out of the water and grabs Toru, asking him to save her from drowning. Toru then points out that she can swim, but she takes the opportunity to drop a knee-breaking pickup line. While the other ladies watch from the shore, Imari asks Tomoe if she has noticed that Miyabi is acting weirdly. In response, Tomoe says that although Miyabi has been down for a while, she's back to her usual self. Disappointed by her response, Imari decides to find out for herself. Later, while Toru enjoys a warm spring bath alone, he overhears the ladies compare their assets, and when he hears that Miyabi has F cups, he freaks out and tries to drown himself from the shock. Meanwhile, Rito jiggles Miyabi's magical orbs, making her scream, so Tomoe speaks up and tells Rito to stop assaulting her partner. Hearing this, Rito switches over to Tomoe and starts massaging her bloopers instead. A few moments later, Imari asks Miyabi if she's in love with Toru, and she lets it slip that she is. She then asks how Imari could tell, and Imari reveals that she's always staring at him. Feeling embarrassed, Miyabi hides underwater while Imari states that she's got some tough competition. Afterwards, Imari explains that every girl would like to have Toru and encourages Miyabi to give it her best. On their way back, while Miyabi thinks of how to give her best, she slips and sprains an ankle, so Imari suggests that Toru carry her, so he offers her his back. Suddenly, Imari announces that she and Tomoe are on cooking duty, so they have to leave, and she drags Tomoe, and Julie follows them. As they leave, Imari tells Lilith and Rito to hurry up, but Rito senses what's going on and asks Lilith if she's okay with it. In response, Lilith says that everyone deserves a fair chance, but adds that she won't lose. Meanwhile, Toru cluelessly stands there wondering what's going on. So, as he carries Miyabi and heads back, he points out that they've done that before when she collapsed. In response, Miyabi says she's always happy whenever he cheers her up. So Toru says he'll keep doing whatever it takes to make her cheer up. So Lilith asks him to cheer her up by calling her by her first name. Toru then calls her name, and they agree to call each other by their first names. Shortly after, they watch the sun set, and Miyabi asks him to put her down. Just then, they walk along the beach, and there, Toru stops and confesses her feelings to him. When she asks him to go out with her, Toru gets a terrible flashback where he loses a loved one. So he apologizes and says he can't be with her because he's weak. Feeling awkward, Miyabi apologizes and runs off, leaving Toru brooding on the beach. And some minutes later, he notices the camp burning. Meanwhile, an army of armored attackers attacks the camp and shoots down everyone in sight. More soldiers jump off an aircraft, where Kevin declares that they're Libers, the God's destruction corps on the selection mission. Amidst the chaos, Julie takes down some of the armored men while Tomoe disarms another with her chain blade and tells Imari to take care of the wounded. Just then, she spots the soldier getting up again. Meanwhile, somewhere else in the school, Sakuya observes the situation and reveals that Libers is one of the equipment smith's corps. Lilith then comments that they're now more sophisticated than before, and Sakuya confirms it by saying that they've accomplished what they set out to do. Amused, Rito says that the level 2 students are no match for the Libers army, and Sarah chips in that there hasn't been any casualty yet. Lilith then asks if there's any update about reinforcements from the main school, and Sarah reveals that an army has attacked the main school. Hearing this, Sakuya comments that their target must be the underground research facility. Just then, she calls on Rito and tells her to display her powers without restraint, while handing her a serum to get her started. Excited, Rito takes the serum and injects herself with it, immediately activating a different level of her powers. Out in the fields, Miyabi falls while evading attacks from an attacker, but Imari shows up in time to save her and asks if she's alright. When Miyabi says she's fine, Toru asks Tomoe if she has a plan, and just when she hopes that the attackers would stay put, Toru shows up and apologizes for being late. At the same time, Rito shows up on a roof, laughing hysterically, and immediately, the attackers fire shots at her, but she leaps off the roof and takes out a bunch of the soldiers with her extended sword. She announces that she's been freed from an annoying limiter and adds that she's about to have some fun. Suddenly, the soldiers attack her all at once, but she dispels them easily and calls for more of them to attack. Amazes the students watching her, and Toru points out that she has leveled up. Just then, the soldiers start firing at her from a distance, but she blocks the attacks with her sword and retaliates by stomping the floor hard enough to cause an earthquake. Facing the students, Rito tells them to stay away if they don't want to get hurt and activates a new blaze technique and explains that after attaining level 4, they can unleash the hidden powers of their blaze. Suddenly, she generates a ring of flaming and spinning blades and attacks the soldiers with it. Afterwards, Rito leaves to do more hunting while Julie then suggests that they go join the others. But Tomoe suddenly shows up asking if Miyabi is with them. Meanwhile, Sarah notifies Sakuya and Lilith that the attack in the main school has been neutralized. Suddenly, some soldiers break into the room, and Kevin shows up, announcing that he's there to apprehend her. At this point, the ladies realize that the other attacks were diversions just to get to Sakuya. Kevin then moves close to her, but Lilith gets in his way, and he tells her that she's not invited. Suddenly, Lilith takes out her blaze rifle and takes down 2 soldiers as a warning. Seeing this, Kevin comments that she's gotten stronger and more beautiful, and fires a gun, while Lilith rushes to save Sakuya, leading to an explosion in the room. Drawn by the sound, Toru asks if there's anyone in the room, and Toru reveals that Sakuya and Lilith are there. So, Tomoe asks them to check on them while she goes to find Miyabi, and Imari offers to go with her since she knows the island better. On getting into the building, they find Lilith on the floor with Sarah and ask if she's alright. In response, she says that she tries to protect Saraha and Sakuya, but Sakuya was captured. So she tells Toru to protect Sakuya. So Toru and Julie leave. Shortly after, while Kevin escapes with Sakuya on a boat, Toru and Julie quickly hop on the boat, and shortly after, Kevin confronts them. So Toru asks him why they attacked the academy, and Kevin says that it's none of their business and gives them the chance to hop off the ship. However, they refuse, amusing Kevin, who then laughs as they prepare to fight. Suddenly, Toru and Julie rush towards him, but Kevin evades Julie's attack from above and stops Toru's punch with a hand. However, Julie gets back up and attacks again, separating them, but they attack again while Kevin evades their attacks. Suddenly, Toru activates his blaze and hits Kevin with a blast from his fist and throws the dude into a wall. Thinking he ate, he suggests they find Sakuya, but Kevin gets back up and says that his subordinates might have been taken out if it were them. Suddenly, his armor collapses, revealing a different armor. Seeing this from the bridge, Sakuya realizes it's the equipment smith's new unit. Just then, Toru figures his bare fists won't cut it this time, but Jui's swords might. Immediately, Kevin attacks, and Toru responds with a flurry of punches. At the same time, Julie also attacks, but she disarms Kevin and gets thrown away. Suddenly, Kevin takes out his other knife and hurls it at her, but Toru slides in and blocks the attack. After this, Toru attacks Kevin again, but gets stabbed in the leg while Julie tries to avenge him. Meanwhile, Kevin keeps blabbing about what they're doing wrong and throws a knife to finish off Julie, but Toru catches the knife. This amuses Kevin, who then asks how he could still move. In response, Toru says he has promised to protect Julie. Hearing this, Kevin remembers someone and angrily throws a knife at Toru, threatening him to repeat himself as he beats him up. Meanwhile, Julie recalls the moment her father was unalived, so she gets back up with a demonic aura and attacks Kevin, cutting him all over until she sends him crashing into the boat. Quickly, Toru tells her to stop, but she charges towards him and stops with her sword pointed at his face. A few seconds later, she collapses, but Toru catches her while Kevin comments that it's unbelievable that she's hiding such a power. He then asks Toru if he's still willing to protect her, and Toru says that he won't back off when it comes to defending his friends. Annoyed, Kevin states that he's too weak to protect anyone, and gets notified by someone on comms that they've gotten what they came for. When Kevin is ordered to withdraw, he asks Toru for his name and introduces himself. He then vows to end Toru when next they meet before jumping off the ship. Later, while the students attend to the wounded, Sakuya returns and meets Lilith, who then asks why the attackers left her behind. In response, Sakuya says that the attackers weren't after her in the first place. Just then, Lilith gets a call and exclaims when she picks it up, while Sakuya guesses that the call was about an invitation to the Rhine conference. Later, on the ride back home, Toru thinks about the moment he rejected Miyabi's proposal and recalls that he and Julie were about to go look for her when Rito announced that the training camp was over and it's time to head back to the main academy. Right then, Tomoe had said she would stay back to look for Miyabi, but Rito shut them up, so he feels bad about it while Sakuya watches them from the top deck. Later at school, Toru and Tomoe practice in the arena while he thinks of Imari's promise to keep looking for Miyabi. However, since it's been days and there hasn't been any news about her, Toru gets distracted, and Tomoe slams him to the ground, pinning him and telling him to focus. Meanwhile, their friends watching from the sidelines are impressed that Tomoe is not as affected by Miyabi's absence as anyone would think. Suddenly, Toru feels Tomoe's melons on his face, and he starts trembling. So she asks if something is wrong and tells him to tap out. Just then, Rito arrives on the scene and says that Toru would rather die than tap out of that position. On realizing what she meant, Tomoe gets up and asks to go another round. Later, while taking her bath, Tomoe realizes she isn't with her towel, so she calls out to Miyabi to help her out. In that moment, she remembers Miyabi and puts the shower back on to cry under it. Meanwhile, Lilith overhears her crying nearby. Later in class, the other students wonder when Miyabi will be out of the hospital, since they've been told that she got injured to avoid worry. Suddenly, Lilith covers Toru's face from behind, and he instantly guesses it's her, so she commends him for recognizing his future wife, but Toru says that she's the only one who does dumb stuff like that. Excited, Lilith says she's glad to know he's paying attention. Just then, Julie shows up behind him and covers his face, and when Toru identifies her correctly, she commends him for being a good duo partner, and adds that their bond is stronger than any other. Moments later, Tomoe walks into the class, and Lilith plays with her jiggle orbs to cheer her up while Julie covers Toru's face. Later at night, Toru has multiple nightmares where his loved ones are unalived by villains who then blame him for being weak. Awakened by this, Julie asks if he's having a nightmare again, and Toru apologizes for interrupting her sleep. So she gets on his bed and hugs him, while explaining that her mom does the same to her on nights when she can't sleep. The next day, Sakuya summons Toru and says she wishes to repay him for saving her from the Libers. In response, Toru says she doesn't owe him anything. So Sakuya drops a serum and says she's offering him permission to advance to level 4 inches, the ritual of sublimation. Toru then says that other people contributed to saving her and asks why she's rewarding only him. Sakuya then says it's because he's unrivaled and asks why he's bothered about leveling up alone. In addition, she points out that he's at the academy because he seeks powers and would have prevented tragedies in his past if he were stronger. After giving it some thought, Toru realizes she's right, but he thinks about Julie when she lost control and gets scared of becoming his enemy. So he hesitates. Just then, Sakuya hands him the serum and says that the world won't be kind enough to accommodate his personal whims, since there'll be prices to pay. After this, she adds that the Rhine conference will soon be held at the academy, and the equipment smith will pay them a visit. On the day of the conference, security agents patrol the school grounds while Rita watches them with disdain from a roof nearby. Meanwhile, the students watch from a balcony, since they're not allowed to leave the school grounds while the conference is held. Somewhere else, Tora comments that the school uses its students since some level 3 students were added to the security. Tomoe then states that the meeting must be very important and tells him to keep his guard up since they're on a mission. Just then, some of the security guys tell them to chill out since they can handle anything that comes up. Meanwhile, Lilith admires the equipment smith's presence and remembers the moment they got notified about the Rhine conference. Afterwards, Toru and Julie show up while she asks why they left their posts. In response, Toru says he has a question and asks about the equipment smith and the Rhine conference. So, Lilith explains that the equipment smith is a high-ranking member of an underground military organization in a certain country where he established Liber, the god-slaying corps. Curious, Toru asks why Liber was created, and Lilith reveals that it was created to achieve absolute duo. In addition to this, she states that Rain represents a group of individuals gathered because of the absolute duo. Somewhere in the academy, Sakuya walks into the room where the meeting is held and exchanges pleasantries with the members of Rhine. Just then, Kevin shows up and apologizes for keeping them waiting. Meanwhile, Lilith explains to Toru and Julie that the absolute duo is the final domain that awaits them after they reach the ultimate capacity of their soul's power. Curious, Toru asks if that's why they're gathered at the academy, and Lilith reveals that the academy was created to awaken the power hidden in the souls of its students to achieve the absolute duo. In the meeting, Kevin suggests that his unit join forces with the academy to achieve their goals, but Sakuya refuses, saying that their individual desires would lead them down different paths. After they argue over their methods, Sakuya points out that Kevin once lost to her grandfather and got kicked out of an agency, and because of that, he's trying to fulfill his past aspirations with her. Feeling insulted, Kevin says he won't take it lightly and suggests they play a battle game to decide. He then explains that the Liber's army will attack Sakuya's academy, and whoever defeats the other is declared the winner, so Sakuya accepts his challenge. Meanwhile, outside the building, Toru says he doesn't know what the absolute duo is and wonders if it's worth all their suffering. In response, Lilith explains that something must be lost to get something better. However, Toru disagrees and says he won't accept that. Suddenly, their attention gets drawn to some security guys who get notified on a call that Libers are attacking. Just then, an aircraft carrying soldiers flies over the academy while Kevin announces the beginning of the battle. When they land at the academy, they face off against the academy students, and Kevin thanks the students for the welcome. Just then, Miyabi shows up, surprising everyone, especially Tomoe. However, from the look on her face, they realize something is different about her. So Miyabi transforms into one of the Liber's suits and announces that she's now strong. While she flaunts her new suit, Tomoe asks Miyabi what happened to her, but the security guys tell the other students to back off while they handle it. Suddenly, Miyabi activates her blaze while the security guys attack her, but she knocks them all off in a single swing. While everyone watches in awe, Miyabi asks Toru if he sees how much stronger she has gotten. Annoyed, Toru asks Kevin what he did to her, and Kevin reveals that he merely gave her the power of a godslayer. Suddenly, Miyabi faces Toru and attacks him with her spear, but luckily, Julie saves him from the devastating attack. So Miyabi asks Julie if she'll also be getting in her way, and Julie says she would if Miyabi tries to hurt Toru. Just then, the students activate their blaze, and Toru says he never thought Miyabi would be powerful enough to be a godslayer. Kevin then explains that Miyabi is the result of the equipment smith's research. Meanwhile, at the meeting, while the members of Rhine watch the ongoing battle, the equipment smith brags about his achievement and asks the other members to watch his masterpiece dominate the battle. After this, Kevin approaches Miyabi, saying that they couldn't have done it without her help, and touches her cheek. Annoyed by this, Tomoe attacks Kevin, but he dodges while she hurries over to talk some sense into Miyabi. When she adds that they'll protect her, Miyabi sends her flying with her spear. Miyabi then asks why she's offering to protect her when she's pathetically weak. Just then, Tomoe realizes she's been injured while Toru comments that a blaze can only cause injury when wielded with murderous intent. So Lilith comments that Miyabi must have been brainwashed. Meanwhile, in the meeting room, the equipment smith reveals that Miyabi has the right build and also lusts for power, making her the best candidate. He then narrates how he fiddled with her emotions and turned her into a weapon of mass destruction. He then asks Sakuya to reconsider her stance about his proposition, but she calls him an old creep who spies on young girls with bad intentions. Outside, Miyabi talks about the old man who gave her powers, while Tomoe berates Kevin for brainwashing the poor girl. Kevin then says that it was Miyabi who asked to become stronger. However, Tomoe refuses to believe this, amusing Miyabi, who then laughs at her and asks Tomoe what she knows about her. Just then, Kevin reveals that Miyabi chose to get stronger because of Toru's rejection, and adds that they were all being watched. Annoyed, Toru charges towards Kevin. Miyabi gets in his way and asks why he's looking at everyone except her. While he stares at her in shock, Miyabi strikes him with her spear, making him realize how powerful she is now. Immediately after, she keeps striking him again and again while Toru blocks the attacks with his shield until Lilith and Toru stop her. While they discuss how to stop her without injuring her, Miyabi pushes them out of her way and says she only needs Toru. While Toru marvels at this, Miyabi asks if he sees how strong she has become and adds that she's strong enough to protect him. After this, she asks if he'll accept her now, but Toru rejects her again, so she gets furious and attacks Toru while Tomoe realizes she doesn't know Miyabi as much as she thought. Seeing this, Kevin applauds Miyabi and announces that they're leaving. When Toru asks him where he's headed, Kevin reveals that they're in the middle of a game and he has to give his regards to Sakuya. Suddenly, Tomoe wraps her chain blade around Miyabi and tells the other to leave them. So the others go after Kevin and his soldiers, while Miyabi says she won't forgive Tomoe for getting in her way. On their way, Toru and the other encounter some of Kevin's army. So Lilith and Toru charge towards them, creating a path for Toru and Julie to advance. While Toru and Lilith team up to form a temporary duo, Toru and Julie run into Kevin, who then says he's been waiting for them. Surprised, Toru asks if he's not really going after Sakuya, and in response, Kevin says he only said that to lure them. He then takes out some knives and says he'd like to see the look on Toru's face after his human pet gets snatched from him. Hearing this, they prepare to fight, so Kevin leaps high and attacks them. Meanwhile, Miyabi asks Tomoe how long she intends to stand in her way, and in response, Tomoe says she'll stand in her way for as long as is needed. In addition, Tomoe lectures her on why she shouldn't have switched sides. But Miyabi gets furious and attacks her while saying that all she wanted was to be acknowledged by her crush. Suddenly, Tomoe falls and realizes that Miyabi must be crushing on Toru. She then says that the power she wields is wrong and adds that Toru must think the same too. However, this annoys Miyabi, so she attacks again. So, Tomoe asks Miyabi if she confessed her feelings to Toru, and when she says that she got rejected by him for being weak, Tomoe says she doesn't need the kind of power she's wielding. Annoyed, Tomoe tries to enter for good, but stops in the last second. So Tomoe says that Miyabi is stronger than her because it takes a lot of strength to raise a guy up as a girl. Hearing this, Tomoe tells Miyabi that she doesn't need the misguided strength, but she disagrees and tears up. Miyabi then says she doesn't want to face the pain of rejection anymore, so Tomoe offers to stand by her. While Miyabi struggles to accept this, Tomoe resets. Somewhere else, Kevin realizes that the device is destroyed, so he tosses a few explosives at Julie, and despite deflecting some, she gets blown off her feet. So Toru rushes over to help her while Kevin gets excited and orders his soldiers to open fire on them. Just then, Toru shields Julie and takes the shots. When Julie awakens, she is shocked to see him bleeding while Kevin comments about Toru's undying resolve to protect his friends. Julie then begs Toru to run, but he stands his ground, remembering his past and promise to protect Julie. Suddenly, he takes out the serum he got from Sakuya and injects himself with it before the bullets hit. Surprised to see him alive, Kevin orders his men to finish Toru off, but Toru and Lilith eliminate the men. Just then, Toru tells Julie to wait while he finishes the fight. Suddenly, Kevin takes out his gun and fires a shot at Toru, who then blocks the shot with a shield and lands a devastating blow on Kevin. Seeing this, the equipment smith gets on his knees, while Sakuya calls for the end of the meeting. Feeling embarrassed about being beaten by a young girl, the equipment smith heads off to the spot where Kevin lies and stomps his face. Kevin then starts laughing, amusing the old man, so he tries to order his soldiers to destroy the academy. But Kevin punches a hole through him and snatches a device known as the ultimate outer armament from him. He then activates the device and vows to end Toru. While Toru and his friends head out of the building, Kevin shows up in a different suit and says that the battle is not over yet. Annoyed, Toru charges towards him, but Kevin merely grabs his blaze and shatters it and his soul along with it, so Toru collapses. Kevin then states that the blaze is their greatest weapon and their greatest weakness. Immediately, Lilith shoots him from behind, but he deflects the bullet and takes her out with a punch to the gut. Suddenly, Kevin takes off and says they're not a match for him. He then shoots his gun behind them, causing a massive explosion. While Julie and Toru run for their lives, Kevin flies above them and sweeps down to attack them. However, Toru blocks the attack with his shield and gets thrown into a wall. Just then, Kevin asks Toru if he thinks he can win with Julie limiting him, but Toru states that she's his duel partner. Just then, Julie attacks Kevin from behind, but Kevin dodges the attack, so they jointly attack him, but Toru knocks them down like bowling pins. To finish them off, he fires shots at them, but to his surprise, Toru had put up a protective shield. After this, Kevin takes off and starts firing shots at the academy buildings, so Toru screams at him to stop, but he turns and starts shooting at him. Quickly, Toru protects himself and asks Kevin if he has no one worth protecting. In response, Kevin says he has nothing to gain from doing that and fires a destructive beam towards the student's dorm. Just then, Rito suddenly shows up and activates the special ability of her blaze, deflecting the attack. Afterwards, Rito falls on her knees, exhausted, and tells the students to deal with Kevin while she handles things on the ground. So while she bleeds, she gives the students a thumbs up, and they cheer her on. Meanwhile, Toru and Julie evade more shots from Kevin, who then asks if they think they can evade him. Suddenly, Julie appears before him and attacks him with her sword, but he blocks the attack and stabs her arm with his sword. Despite this, Julie slices off one of his guns and falls to the ground. Just as Toru rushes over to meet her, Kevin makes it rain fire on her, so Toru shields her with a barrier, but Kevin runs him through from behind, making his blaze vanish. After he drops Toru to the floor, Julie watches him bleed out and weeps while Kevin taunts them. Suddenly, Julie summons her swords and starts emitting an evil aura again, so she clashes violently against Kevin, who then bombards her with more shots from his gun. When he takes off, Julie goes after him and keeps attacking him. Eventually, Julie loses one of her swords, so Kevin tries to finish her off, but she suddenly starts bouncing off magical circles while attacking Kevin. Shortly after, Julie slashes open his chest, making him blow up. While Toru gets back up and struggles to walk, Kevin also tries to get back up, but Julie finds him and tries to end him for good. Just then, Toru calls on her and tells her to stop, so when Julie turns towards him, he protects himself with a shield. Suddenly, she attacks the shield while Toru thinks about how Julie made him a protector. Determined to protect her, he takes down his shield and hugs her to get her to calm down. Shortly after, Julie regains her senses and is amazed to see that Toru is alive. Seeing this reminds Kevin of someone he once protected, so he gets furious and shoots at them again. But Toru and Julie combine their strengths to repel the attack. Infuriated by this, Kevin tries to attack again, so Julie trips and tells Toru to use her sword since their souls are linked. So Toru grabs her sword and destroys Kevin's suit. The next day at the clinic, Miyabi apologizes to Toru for causing problems, and in response, Toru says they've all gotten stronger. Later, he tries to check on Julie, but realizes she isn't taking visitors. Some days later, while Toru meets with Lilith, she shares some information about Kevin with him, and reveals that Kevin once lost an elder brother he was close to, and he fell into the underworld when his family fell apart. After he thanks her, Lilith reveals that Julie has been discharged from the hospital, so Toru hurries off to see her, but on his way, he hears her hairband jingle, so he heads up a tower and finds her there. Just then, Julie reveals that, unlike everyone else at the academy, she acquired her powers for revenge after her father's death, and adds that she's one of those who awaken the power hidden within themselves. She then confesses that she hid it from him because she thought he'd leave her when he found out. Hearing this, Toru apologizes for letting her use her powers even when it hurts her, and vows to get stronger to protect her. So he offers her his hand and asks her to keep being his duet partner. So they put their blazes together and recite the oath again. Would you have rejected Miyabi for Julie if you were Toru? Let's know your thoughts in the comments. And if you want more videos like this, like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.